Joe Biden's border crisis, not a big deal to Democrats. In the same week, we saw a horde of migrants rushing a port of entry. House Dems skipped out on a field hearing held at the southern border and are accusing Republicans of playing politics. GOP lawmakers are calling out the malarkey.
Now, this was supposed to be a full committee, but as you can see, the Democrats are not here. They decided to not show. Why? Well, they said coming here was just a political stunt.
The thing I'm most distraught about, there's not a Democrat here. This is an American issue. It's appalling that the Democrats didn't show up and America is under attack.
A lot of people described what was happening here in South Texas as a humanitarian crisis, a border crisis, and I was very candid and I said that I think we have a bit of a policy crisis.
Democrats claim it was just too far.
No.
No, because it's far Texas. People at home are clapping. Two of them. Democrats claim they never agreed to attend in the first place. But our guy at the border with the great hair says Dems booked their travel and had a witness list before backing out. Here's the reality Democrats missed.
You heard the secretary. He said we have operational control. That's the definition of operational control.
Based upon the definition you have, sir, up there, no.
We don't have operational control.
No, sir.
We are 25 times more likely to have an overdose death in the United States than we are in Mexico.
We have a fentanyl problem, and we need to fix it.
Dana, they booked travel, then pulled out. Yeah. They've done this before?
Yeah, they did it like 2 weeks ago in Yuma, Arizona. They decided not to go to that hearing anyway. So this is not a last minute, oh my gosh, they want to do a political stunt. This is a strategy for them to totally avoid the issue. And also, I didn't know it was an option not to go to work.
Yeah.
Is that an option? Could we just like don't show up tomorrow because we don't want to?
I do that once in a while.
Yeah, you do.
Only when Geraldo's on.
The other thing is they had asked for a witness. That witness was going to testify. The other thing, this is what I can't believe. Tomorrow we'll probably read in the New York Times how the Democrats are worried about their losing with blue-collar workers. They're losing with people on the border. They're losing in red America. Well, why? Because you don't show up. You pretend like it's not a problem. Also, the White House has turned to this talking point. I mentioned it in the last block, that it's actually all the Republicans' fault that this is happening. And people can see it with their own eyes that that's not true.
Mm-hmm. Jessica, why isn't there just one honest Democrat, perhaps one at this table, who might just say, we don't care? Like, why try so hard to say that you care about the border and not do anything? Why not just free yourself and go, you know what, we don't care. We never cared. We want no borders. We think it's great. It's great for labor. It's great for getting new blood. If you say that, then, you know, we can move on.
The truth will set you free.
Yes.
Here's your opportunity. I appreciate that. I'm going to decline today because it's not my reality. There are Democrats who think that there should be no borders.
Right.
That's not the bulk of the party, though. Mm-hmm. And everybody who's being honest about this knows what happens, which is either side doesn't want to do the other side's thing, even if it's something that's objectively important. Now, I don't have a lot of people, at least that I speak to, on the Democratic side who say that this is a top issue for them. But it's something that matters. Obviously, no one wants to be losing American lives to fentanyl. No one wants these kind of crises. When we talked about over the summer, I think it was 52 migrants died in the back of that truck. There were a couple of boats that got into an accident. I think 8 people died from that. Those flat-out humanitarian crises, how families are living at the border, what's going on in terms of those camps. All those are good things. When you show up, good things happen, period. Either you learn something, or you could have a good moment. And we've seen that already in a few of the hearings that have already taken place back in D.C. Democrats have gotten a lot of good moments in there where they've had Customs and Border Patrol officials, people working down on the border there, where they've said things like, has the Biden administration made it a policy that we shouldn't enforce the law here? And then they have to say, absolutely not. That isn't what's going on here. And then they get their point. And then the Republicans go and they get their point. So it's an unfortunate game because it has such dire implications. And I think that showing up, you can do your own press gaggle there. And you can get it out to your people. Just go.
Just go, Jesse.
I hate math. And if my math teacher said we're going to have a field trip today, I would go anywhere.
Right.
Because you just want to get out of the classroom.
Yeah.
This is a field hearing. How often in Congress do you get a field hearing?
Yeah.
Go down, put up with whatever the Republicans are up to, and then go out to dinner and have some Mexican food, and then have a cerveza, and then fly back with your team, and then hold a press conference and say the Republicans stink. How hard is that?
Right.
How dare you?
How dare you, Jessica?
How dare you say Republicans?
Is this an artificial stance or
No.
this is legit? Okay.
Don't show up to your stuff. You know, you don't like, people don't like going to their stuff. We always go to your stupid hearings about climate, about gender, about January 6th. How many times we just sit there?
True.
Yeah, we tried to put people on the committee that we wanted, and you wouldn't let us go.
Oh, election deniers are not people that you want on the January 6th.
Election deniers,
Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry.
Another point is this. How come every time...
Yes, I have seen Tucker's
How come
tapes.
every time things get a little tough, you guys fly the coop? Remember all your little state legislators? They always leave. Remember there's like some big vote in a state legislature? You guys always fly somewhere else. You can't do your job. Now, if I was a Democrat and my representatives were always leaving the scene of a crime because they didn't want to get their hands dirty, didn't want to like take any blame, I'd be mad. And I'm tired of your cheap tactics. It's like football. Great analogy. Permission not needed. You guys are so dirty. You're always spying and cheating and stealing. And then when we try to do something tough, like boot someone off of committee, you guys weep. Now, and the refs should be throwing flags on both teams, but they only throw flags when we do stuff. And you guys are out there going for people's knees, eye gouging, taking shots to the head. I'm tired of it. Republicans have to start playing dirty. Next hearing that we don't like, we're not showing.
Wait a minute. Last week I said to you, don't you think we should play dirty? And you said no, because we're not like them.
When they go low, we go lower.
Oh, well, okay.
I'm already there.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, let me tell you what I think, okay, if you want to ask me what I think. Here's the thing. They're on the Homeland Security Committee. It's their job to show up. It's their jurisdiction. It's their committee. It's their country. And it's their job. And they have the nerve to not show up. You're right. It's like not going to work. But they're not even hiding it. They're like, yeah, we ain't going. What are you going to do about it? But one of the things that's so significant when I was reading the papers today is that there is a surge across America of young and unaffiliated Latino voters. So it is the first time Latino voters are outpacing non-Latino voters on the verge of becoming the #1 biggest swing voter groups in the United States. So now everybody's gonna have to deal with the fact that the unaffiliated Latino voters now represent the largest percentage of Latino voters in Florida. Now, and the number of Latinos was 62 million in 2020, a 23% increase in a decade. What does that tell you? It tells you you need to show up at things like this, whether you think it's your job or not, because you're all about politics and ideology, and there's a whole sector of this country that's brand new and waiting to be plucked.
Pluck them. Pluck them.
There you go.
Jesse,
Watch your mouth.
I
Yes.
said pluck 'em.
careful.
Say it again.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.